She said, "Do you come from a land down under?"
There are places on this planet that are beautiful beyond imagination, from the golden sunrises on the beach to the golden sunsets in the desert, from the kangaroos in the outback to the abundant sea life in the ocean. Australia is full of diversity. Australia has two territories, which are the Northern Territory and the Australian Capital Territory. It also has 6 states, which are Western Australia, the Northern Territory, Queensland, South Australia, New South Wales, and Victoria. The climate in Australia depends on which part of the country you're in. If you're in the top, near Darwin in the Northern Territory, it's usually hot and humid. As you go lower throughout the country, it begins to become more warm and humid. In the Northern Territory and in Queensland, they begin to have hot, dry summers, but they have moderately warm winters. If you go lower into Western Australia, South Australia, and New South Wales, they also have a hot, dry summer, but they begin to have a slightly colder winter. If you go lower near Adelaide and Sydney and Canberra, they're usually a little more temperate than the rest of the country. And if you go all the way down towards Tasmania and Hobart and all that, they mostly have cooler temperatures down there. Australia is very ancient and therefore it has some of the oldest geological features in the entire world. One of the most famous rock formations in northern Australia is known as Uluru. It was formerly named the Ayers Rock and it covers more than 3 square kilometers and nearly 10 kilometers around the base. Uluru rises 345 meters and it's estimated to have been laid down around 500 million years ago in an inland sea. Australia has a variety of mountainous areas, but the highest peak on the Australian mainland is known as Mount Kizikisto, which is 2,228 meters above sea level. Kizikisto is located in the Snowy Mountain regions in New South Wales. There is also a little known fact that the highest point on the Australian territory is in the Australian Antarctic Territory. Even though most Australians are predominantly Christian, Australia has no official state religion. The Australian government believes in encouraging mutual respect and understanding and tolerance among the different religions. The main Christian denominations in Australia are Catholic, which is about 25.8% of the population, Anglican, which is about 18.7% of the population, and the Uniting Church, which is about 5.7% of the population. There are about 6% of the population that's affiliated with non-Christian religions such as Buddhism, Islam, and Hinduism, and about 30% of the population do not identify themselves as religious at all. In Australia today, there are around 76,800 people that are employed in the forestry industry, and throughout Australia there are about 1,100 mills that produce sawn timber, which is what is mainly used for structural manufacturing. The traditional music of Indigenous Australians holds a lot of meaning to their culture. The music is used throughout the Aboriginals' life in order to show them what must be known about their culture, about their place within their culture, and their place within the world of nature and supernature. As a very young child, the Aboriginals are encouraged to dance and sing about their everyday tasks. To the Australian Aboriginals, music is always understood as a natural and integral part of life. In constructing their music, the Aboriginals use different kinds of instruments such as sticks, boomerang clapsticks, percussion sticks, percussion tubes, rasps, rattles, skin drums, and as the ever-known didgeridoo. Australian English has a very distinctive accent and vocabulary. According to a census taken back in 2011, about 76.8% of people spoke only English in their home. Other languages that were spoken in the home were Mandarin, Italian, Arabic, Cantonese, and Greek. 2 major achievements that occurred in Australia were the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia, and the formal opening of the Sydney Opera House back on October 20th, 1973. Australia's government is broken up into 4 separate parts, which are the Federation, the Australian government, the state and territory government, and the local government. The Commonwealth of Australia was formed in 1901 when 6 independent British colonies agreed to join together and become the states of a new nation. The rules for the government in the new nation were engraved in the Australian Constitution, which basically defined how the Australian government was to operate and what issues it could and could not pass on. The birth of the nation is often referred to as a federation because the Constitution created a federal system of government.
Just blow and mention love.